Okay, this is the update. My current health update, if anyone's interested, and the fundraiser that was established by my nephew, Zachary Urban, for Dana and I, that has been incredibly successful. And I would like to thank everyone for their generosity and sacrifice. Again, the friends and relatives that have just contributed so openly and freely and made a world of difference in our lives. So I want to thank you for that. I would also like to ask anyone who feels as though one way in which they can support us would be to post that on their Facebook page or share it with those that you feel would be open or receptive to helping. One of the things I'd like to begin to shed some light on is my rheumatoid arthritis and my basilar invagination. In 1987, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. In about 2005, I got my first knee replacement, total knee. A few years following, my other knee, or actually I think it was a hip, then a shoulder, then a hip, and then a knee. I've forgotten the order. But all of that leads up to about the last 10 years when I began to really experience profound limitations and pain in my neck. It wasn't until we moved to South Carolina and I had fallen. No, that's not true. It started about 2 years before that, when I had gotten a general x-ray or some imaging done for my neck. And it had identified this basilar invagination, a severe case of instability in the neck, in which my spine begins to ascend up into my brainstem. 2 years later, 2.5 years later, I have a fall. I have some more imaging done, and now we're talking about severe basilar invagination. I'll refer to as BI. My I almost said collarbone. My spine has already ascended up into my brainstem, or my head and shoulders have collapsed down upon my spine to where the medulla is actually contacting the dens of my spine and is becoming crushed. The more and more that becomes crushed, the more limitations I will have. I haven't been able to speak to a doctor that really is able to put a time frame on these limitations and what comes first and how intense. Over a year ago, I was given a month to a year to live. I am still here. I'm not doing any worse. It's hard to say I'm doing any better. But I'm still looking for solutions, and this is something I'd like to hopefully focus on later, is not only information about the BI and putting a video out there looking for help for that specifically, not necessarily surgical treatment, because the surgical approaches, from what I've seen, are rather Philistine in nature. They're medieval. They entail going in through the front, through the jaw, splitting the jaw, and going into the neck from the oral cavity. Combined with some other rehab issues, and the fact that some of the doctors have stated that the occipital plate in the back of my head is probably too thin to receive the hardware necessary for the structuring to stabilize my neck. They basically fasten your skull to your spine. So about a year ago, Dana and I decided that it just didn't feel like an option. Through some good friends of ours, we've been able to see another doctor that sheds a more optimistic light on it, but he wasn't the one doing the surgery. Again, Dana and I, don't believe that surgery is the route for me. We have done one procedure, a stem cell procedure, an injection from my pain med doc. And it seemed to have, in my own layman words, stabilized the area. I don't get as much discomfort in the last 9 months, if I can remember correctly. The doctor does talk about residual strength in my neck, at least my pain med doctor. But I would really like to find a physician or a group of people or a patient that has experienced this, obviously not survived most likely, or at least for long, because it really is going to be the end of me. And that's the other thing I want to talk about. So, all these things. Thank you, the disease, living and dying. I wrote something on Facebook a while ago that I don't know how to die. I'm talking about a lot of different subjects that I will continue to bring up. But since then, I think I have refined it to, I don't know how to live. I'm just so caught up and preoccupied with the tension and the turmoil over the disease and the pain and the longing for so much that sometimes you lose up and down. Sometimes you lose hope. You don't know what is up and down. And so I'm living on a beautiful farm with my daughter and her husband and my 2 amazing grandchildren. The only thing missing is my other grandchild, Jack, and Emily and Alex, who are now in Washington, but were here for a while. So I ought to be happier. I ought to be more content, I believe. And I'm just having to find a way to live more fully in the midst of dying. But I guess that's my point. We're all dying. And a lot of you are really struggling right now with physical hurdles, overwhelming situations, financial, relational, mental. It's an unending list. And so I hope just by talking through the challenges that imminent death brings, I can help myself better understand. And I hope that I can then help someone else better understand. Because one of the things I'm realizing is that the last 10 years have robbed me of a lot of physical ability. I've gotten shut down to where I am a weak, crippled old man. And I'm lucky I still have a caring, loving wife to take care of me. And it's hard. It's hard to get your manhood, your id, everything that you've invested so much into pulled out from underneath you. You just have to reorient. And again, knock on wood, I thank God that I'm not para or quadriplegic yet. So I'm very thankful for that, and I can saunter around a little bit. But it's just a season of loss, tremendous loss. I don't know where I was going. I'll do that a lot during these rants. That's going to be it for now. Again, from the bottom of our hearts, Dana and I, and my family, Anna, and Ruben, and Emily, and Alex, just thank you all for your graciousness and your generosity. And I hope that in some way, shape, or form, with what I have left, I can give back in some way. Please share if you're so moved. Thanks again.